Good morning. How's everybody doing? Do I really need this mic? Yes. Apparently I do. Welcome and thanks for coming out on a Sunday morning. The most important question of the morning so far is there anyone here who did not get a lollipop? As we have them up at the front, feel free to ask at any time. So I'm Mark Jones, and I'm the chair of the School of Creative Arts and Animation at Seneca College in Toronto, and really happy to welcome all of you here today for this important discussion around pathways through school into the industry within a not exclusively Canadian context, but a lot of it will be around the Canadian context. We have a wonderful panel of graduates here who are ready to share with you their information and their journeys. And leading us through that discussion is going to be our good friend and faculty member, Ben McAvoy, who is also the co-founding partner of Friends and Enemies Creative Studio within Toronto, and also a co-founder of TAFI, the Toronto Animation Arts Festival International. If you don't know TAFI, look it up, TAAFI.com, or we got the .com. So check out TAFI. And also here with us today is Sean Craig, the professor and program coordinator of the animation program at Seneca College, and he will be telling you more about the program itself. We encourage questions. We're sure many of you are here to check out options for training and education and what the particular approach is for Seneca and what makes us stand out. But don't take our word for it. You're here to hear from the folks that actually went through the program. So without further ado, Ben, over to you. Oh, and by the way, we are doing the draw today for the Wacom One tablet for any of you that may have entered, and that'll be at the end of the session. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. Should we show the reel first? Considering what all the heartache we went through to put it together. All right. I'm sorry in advance if anyone bursts an eardrum. We're not really sure what the sound levels are. Oh. Okay, that was intense and exciting. I've only just watched that with sound now for the first time here. That was as surprisingly enjoyable as I expected it to be. So good morning, everyone. I'm Ben, one of the faculty, as Mark was so generous in introducing me. I'm here with 5 fantastic graduates who are going to talk to you about their experiences. But before we jump in and introduce everyone, want to get a general sense of who's out here. So how many of you are students or looking to study abroad, perhaps in Ontario or Canada? Okay. Don't be shy. I've got lollipops for big hands up. All right. I will be rewarding good questions with lollipops, by the way. How many of you are professionals just curious about working in Canada? Again, don't be shy. Big hands. Love it. Okay, so we got a couple. How many of you here are friends of the panelists? Okay, don't be shy. It's okay. How many of you work for us? Just kidding. Okay, we got two over here. Okay. So we're going to talk about what it's like to study and work in Canada. Hopefully you guys are here to kind of understand both, but we really want to see this as an interactive kind of dialogue between you guys, because if you have questions, we're here to have some answers. And we're also going to bring Sean back up towards the end to talk about the program itself at Seneca College, because it has gone some interesting changes over the past year and is now rebooting as Annie 2.0. We're excited to talk about that and help you understand how it might differentiate from some of the other options that are out in the world there. Before we do that, though, let's dive right in. Our panelists here have all graduated within the past 7 years, some as recently as this year, so we've got some fresh perspectives, especially COVID perspectives and pre-COVID perspectives. So we'll be kind of curious to see how everyone works. I'm going to just start left to right and let you guys introduce yourselves. Give us your name. Oh, wow, that was totally confusing. Like, wait, so we go left to right? So we'll start with you, Bree.
Okay.
And just give us an idea what your background was coming into animation, and then also like how you got into it, and then where you are today. Give us the big Bree story.
All right. Mic test. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. All right. So hi, my name is Bree. I believe I am the most recent grad. I literally just finished this year. What can I say? Seneca, it's been a long ride, but it felt so short as well. When I started, it was 2019, so pre-COVID. My first year, it was in person, and the last 2 years were online. I forgot to mention, I am a background artist. I work at Yao's Animation Studios. That's based in Toronto, Canada. And yeah, I was there for a year in person, and the 2 years were online. And we actually, for our third year, we worked on our thesis film. For me, it was Sigfon, which this year won the best film for our year. I did the backgrounds, all the backgrounds was done by me because we were the smallest team. Seneca is is a very close community, which is one thing that I really liked. You get really personal with a lot of your classmates and a lot of your teachers, which is a good thing. So we got a lot of mentors. And yeah, I basically got into animation. I mean, I don't want to take too long, but I mean, ever since I was young, my parents own a VHS store. So I've always watched all the classics, everything that I'm pretty sure everybody's seen it. But I've always wanted to go to animation school, though I grew up in Philippines and in Thailand. I came to Canada 11 years ago, and I found Seneca, and it worked well for me because I was a single mom going into it. I didn't have that much freedom, and I really wanted to explore my career in animation. And yeah, it's a great school. I really love it.
Thanks, Bree. Next, we have Nona.
Hi, everyone. My name's Nona. So I always really liked art, but I didn't really know that you can work in animation. So when I was younger, I would kind of volunteer a lot at art camps and kind of explore what different careers I can get into. I actually thought I wanted to do conceptual art and more fine art. And I even took like SATs and everything to get into some American schools. But I did more research, and I found I actually really liked animation and film, and animation kind of blends artwork and script writing and painting, everything all together. So that's why I really wanted to get into animation. So I actually did a portfolio class to get into Seneca first because I knew nothing about animation at all. And then I got into Seneca. Seneca, I was there. Yeah, I graduated after 3 years in COVID. So my last year was online. It was a little tough for me going from in person to online just because the boundaries, I guess, of work-life balance was a bit difficult to go through. And I think that it was a good experience because now I can use that to.
Sorry, we think we just were having a medical issue over here. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Just 1 second here. Does anyone hear? Okay. You okay? Okay. We'll keep going for a moment. Just to make
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, so now I could use that experience to kind of work remotely, working online. I think that was a good experience for me. Yeah, and now I'm working as a layout background artist at Brown Bag Studios in Toronto, and I'm really enjoying it.
Okay, thank you, Nona. Looks like he's okay. Moving along, we'll talk with Chelsea.
Hi, so my name is Chelsea. I believe out of all of the graduates here, I may have been the oldest, graduating in 2015.
Just looking for the right word there. It's like, I'm not old, though.
I'm 30. So my animation journey started when I was an itty-bitty 7-year-old and asked my father while watching The Incredibles, I believe, why they didn't have marker streaks. And he explained to me what animation was, and I was hooked ever since. Somehow I maintained that desire to go to school in animation all through elementary and high school, and ended up applying to Seneca College and was lucky enough to get in. My experience there was so enjoyable that I actually went back and now teach as one of the character design professors just recently during the pandemic. So my experience with the college is a little bit two-sided when it comes to the pandemic versus pre-pandemic, because I did actually not work, but what's the word I'm looking for here? I had experience with the school as a student pre-pandemic, all in person, and as a professor, I've taught during the pandemic and have got to see a different side of how the students get to work and function through this difficult time, moving from in-person to online. So that's been a very interesting journey as well.
I'm moving up here just so you don't have to look backwards.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. So yeah, it's been an amazing experience. Very, very, like Bree said, close community. I think unlike what a lot of other schools tend to have, I find that Seneca is a very community-based program where we all are very supportive of one another, very helpful toward one another, and we really do act like peers. Another thing is you really, especially in Canada, I find, I'm sure this is also true in the United States, you do end up working a lot with the people that you're in school with. So to cultivate and develop those relationships early on is such a fundamental and enjoyable experience, because they will eventually be the people who are working on the same teams as you and hiring you for new projects. And I really enjoyed getting to get to know a lot of wonderful artists who I now see and have built lasting relationships on into our careers.
Great. Thanks, Chelsea. Up next, applause. And now, Audrey.
Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. My name is Audrey. I grew up in a small town in Quebec, so I'm actually French Canadian.
Just going to tilt it down. So.
Is it better?
That's better.
Okay. So yeah, I grew up in a small town back in Quebec. I think my experience coming into animation industry is slightly different than everybody else because nobody in my small town knew how to get into animation. Only options to get into art were becoming an art teacher or for a fine art master. And this is not what I wanted to do. So I discovered very late in life, more into my 20s, how to get into an animation school. And that's where I found the same program as Nona to get into an animation school. I went to EPW. I got my wonderful fundamentals to learn and to apply to Seneca and get accepted there. I graduated within the pandemic the same year as Nona, and I did the 3D track as opposed to everybody else on this table. I believe you all did the 2D track. So on the last year at Seneca, you either choose to go into gaming, 2D, or 3D, and I decided 3D. So I could learn how to build models in Maya or Blender and be able to build alt sets and draw from there with a reference that is in a 3D space. I'm actually a 2D BG layout artist at the same company and same production as Nona.
And last but certainly not least, Jess.
Hi, I'm Jess. I am a character and prop designer in Toronto. I guess I started out my art journey when I was in second grade, and my teacher taught me how to draw Garfield, and I just drew Garfield like repeatedly for like 2 weeks straight, and here I am. I think I've always known I wanted to be in this industry because I think even as a kid, I'm like, I only want to draw. I can't even fathom like doing anything else other than that, and I feel like that's really relatable to a lot of people, especially students and stuff too. I got my job through a friend at Seneca, and like everyone has been saying, it's very community-based, and I work with so many of my classmates that I went to school with and from other schools as well, and I've got most of my connections from school. I think Canada and Seneca are really great for that because everyone's so close-knit, and you can make friends and make so many connections through like short interactions, like even like conventions like this, or we have like things like Taffy, like the Toronto Animation Arts Festival, which like I've been volunteering at since I was like in high school, and here I am now, and I'm part of that, and yeah, I think that's my journey so far.
So far. So before we dive into questions for you guys, I want to just get a general sense of, does everyone know enough about Seneca? Because I feel like maybe a bit of a baseline might help before we get too deep into the experience of Seneca in Canada. Is that a yes, you want to know more, or no, we know everything? Okay, so they know everything. Let's keep going. So Seneca College is actually Ontario's largest college. The college system in Ontario, I think, has 24 different colleges. And we're one of the largest animation programs in Ontario, which is, I'm just going to get didactic here because I don't know who knows what about Canadian geography. Ontario is the province that has Toronto inside of it, as well as Ottawa, our capital for Canada. I think we should know this better, but 10 other provinces. We're centrally located. We're kind of north of New York and adjacent to Ohio, Michigan. So, you're close to the American border. In fact, almost all of Canada kind of lines the border, and then the rest is wilderness. The program itself is about 20 years old. And like I mentioned at the beginning, it's undergone a recent change this year, but for 20 years, kind of been building up the pedigree. We are now how many students per cohort? 100? Just under 100? 135. Well, 135 this year, so I guess for anyone applying, that's all that matters. So we're about 135 students in every cohort, or at least in the fall cohort. And then we take in another January cohort of about 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. So you see there's about 150 people throughout the course of the year, and it runs through the academic semester of September through to April, May, I believe. It's a 3-year program. We do also offer 1-year postgraduate certificates, and there's also a selection of other programs around the Animation Arts Center itself that are also feeder programs like Art Fundamentals, as well as other similar film programs. So you'll have a lot of media as well. So Seneca actually has a very large school of creative arts and film arts. I can't remember the other name, but I'm always going to learn it. I've been there 15 years, so I've got another 15 to get it right. So we have been around for almost 50 years. We're a well-established college. The entire college system in Ontario is 50 years old, more or less. There's a couple new colleges. And we are well-established across many other spectrums that we're not going to talk about today, but just to give you a sense of the pedigree. We also have on-campus facilities, including residences, and we're located in an area just north of downtown Toronto. So it's actually not right in the downtown core, but it's just outside for this particular campus. York University, which is also another large, well-established Canadian university. So you're right in the middle of it all, and you get to learn about Toronto. So I'm going to stop there just to make sure we covered our ground. You guys did mention a few things here, so I'm just going to clarify, because it is changing, but for their experience, there's a shared first year and then second year, with then streams into 2D, 3D, or gaming, which is now changing, and Sean's going to explain that. You actually share 1 year, and then you stream earlier into your 4 different streams. So how many of you were in 2D? 3, 4, and then 2 of you are in 3D? Right. So that gives you a general sense, and then some people opt to go back into the postgraduates like visual effects. So it's kind of an interesting journey. Okay, so first question for you guys, sort of a bit of a lob ball here. Why did you choose Seneca as your college where you want to study animation? And I'm just going to kind of throw it right to Jess, because I started at the other end. You gave us so much passion in the last part there. Give us a sense, like, what drew you to Seneca? What made it distinct for you as an applicant?
So in Canada, I don't know if it's the same in the US, we have dual credit programs in high school and stuff where you can earn college credits at the same time while you're still in high school. So I was doing an animation dual credit while I was in high school, and it was at Seneca. So then I got to know so many of the professors and like my future classmates and coworkers there too. So I just thought it was like an easy transition, especially because I live so close to the campus too. So yeah, I think it was a lot easier and like a smoother like getting into the program and stuff because I knew everyone, and yeah, it just felt like a really good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Nana?
Yeah, I think same for me. I already kind of knew people who were in the program. So the portfolio class I took, which is called APW, there were some teachers that graduated from Seneca, and I thought they were really friendly and really knowledgeable. I really enjoyed working with them, and yeah, I thought Seneca was a good fit for me as well.
Chelsea?
Yeah, of course. So I did not know anybody. I did those little like school tours, looked at Sheridan College, which I'm sure some of you are aware of. It's another really large school in Canada. And then I looked at Seneca College as well, and we were so impressed with the facilities at Seneca College. We tend to keep it very modern and very close to what the in-studio needs are. And so when we looked at how modernized everything was, it seemed like a better place to get a really good and more up-to-date education in regards to that. And we've actually done so many updates recently too, like you used to get your own Cintiq companions, and I think now we've like updated to XP pens, and we've done so many new renovations, but we really try to keep it modern. And that was one of the things that really drew myself and my parents especially to wanting me to attend Seneca in particular. I think another really fantastic part that drew me in was when it comes to the portfolio process. Outside of the animation portfolio workshop, like Nona mentioned as well, which really encourages and helps students get into the school of their choosing, whether it be Seneca, Sheridan, Centennial, Durham, any other Canadian animation school. I find that the process to get into Seneca is very based on growth. So some portfolios that you have to enter kind of require you to be extremely skilled before you even get into the school. However, I do find that there's so much more of an opportunity for growth at Seneca College, and in a little more realistic of a way when it comes to working within the field, because you tend to specialize once you're out working. And if you're, say, really, really good at one area, they will see that and they'll be like, we're going to let this person in and we're going to really get them to grow and cultivate that thing that they're interested in, even if, say, like me, you're not very good at animating. I'm a character designer. And so, you know, maybe at another school, because you're lacking in a certain area, but you're really good in another area, you might not get in because you need to be baseline good all throughout every single skill. But I don't think that's really accurate to the industry. You don't have to be good at anything, and I really enjoy that about Seneca, and that's part of why I chose to go there.
Thank you. Audrey, I jumped right over you. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Please forgive me.
So why did I choose Seneca, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, okay.
And maybe, Audrey, just to add a little bit more to it, can you describe the process once you applied? Just what your experience was like applying to Seneca? So why you
Sure.
chose and what it was like when you applied?
Sure. So, as like a person from Quebec, I had in my head one choice, Cégep du Vieux-Montréal, Cégep au Montreal, back in Quebec. But I didn't really want to go there because I wanted to be in an English environment. I've never been into an English and fully English environment prior to that. So I look at options in Vancouver, like Vancouver Film School. It's a little bit pricey. I look into other options like Sheridan and Seneca. Since I did APW with Josh, who was the instructor there, and he was such a sweet and kind person, I decided to go to Seneca and apply there. With his help and the help of the program, you have to build a portfolio that consists, unless it has changed,
Nope.
it was
I'm getting the
at
no.
least 2 layouts of one view and the other side of the room that you would decide to draw. You had life drawings that you had to put. If you want to cheat on your life drawing, you put 2 in a page instead of 1 in 1 page. Guys, don't forget
Everyone write that note down. That's an important note.
You had to put personal art too, and I can't remember if you had to do anything else. Oh yeah, 2 drawings of hands holding objects. Sometimes I think it says to do certain actions, but to be confirmed when you guys want to apply.
And Bree, because you're also so recent, maybe the same question to you. Why Seneca, but also what was your application experience like?
All right. So for me, my path was a little bit different. Basically, I attended Taffy a few years prior to Seneca. I did not know that Seneca had an animation program. And before that, I was working as a freelance illustrator for clothing. And so I wasn't in the animation world. At that, I went to a networking event called Taffy. So I went to Taffy, and then I met a bunch of the really lovely people there, which a lot of them also work and attend at Seneca. So I met Barney, I met Stephanie, which I believe she's the character design teacher there now as well. I just met all the teachers there, and I remember we were just talking about work, and they were asking me, what do you do for work? And I was telling them, like, I'm trying to make a career change. And I've always liked cartoons, so I had no idea that, it could be a job. So after that, they told me, you should come to Seneca. We're having an open house. It was around fall time, so they were like, we have an open house, and we also have a winter term. So unless that's changed, I believe you can apply for the fall term, which is in September, and you can also apply for the winter term, right, for January. So I got to go to the open house, and I got to get my portfolio reviewed, like Nona and everyone else. I did my portfolio, but I had no direction because I didn't go to a portfolio prep school, so I kind of had no idea what I was doing. But everybody there was so nice. Like, I met all the teachers, and I was like, wow, it's so, like I said, like close-knit, and I don't feel like, sometimes when the school is so large, it doesn't feel so personal. Like, I feel like they would really put in the time and effort to teach you. Like what Chelsea mentioned, not everybody is good at everything, right? So I wasn't the best animator as well. Like, I like doing layout and backgrounds, and I had my weaknesses. So I think that's what really drew me to Seneca as well, is like they saw the potential in me, and I also saw that everybody there was so nice. I'm a mom, so I have a lot of other things I have to do after, like besides school and work, and everybody there was very understanding. So that's what I really liked about the school. Yeah.
Thanks, Bree. Yeah, go ahead, Chelsea.
Hi, I just want to interject as well that for any of you who are interested in portfolio help, there are a lot of online resources as well. I know that right now we're in the United States, so Animation Portfolio Workshop, like we've been discussing, may not be an option for you. but there are so many videos on YouTube, for example, from people like us who have shown either accepted or rejected portfolios from Canadian studios like Seneca and Sheridan, or even just give portfolio advice. So for any of you that are looking to build your own portfolio and start that process yourself, I would really suggest looking into that. It's a very, very helpful resource if you don't have something like APW to go into as well.
Thanks. And Bree keeps, and a lot of these answers are talking about how nice it is at Seneca. I just want to remind everyone that we're Canadians, and we're typically really nice already. So this is nice in Canada. So it's the level of nice that you're probably not going to be used to. So looking back, and I'm trying to make sure I kind of spread the attention here. So Nona, this is for you. Looking back on your experience, what stood out to you the most about your education experience at Seneca specifically, now that you're in the industry itself?
Yeah, so I think while going through all the classes, you learn a little bit about everything. So you get kind of a gist of the whole pipeline, not just one specific specialization. So you could kind of dip a little bit into storyboarding, background layout, character design. You can kind of see and test the waters. So I discovered, like, Bree, she didn't really like animation. I didn't really like animation, but I really liked background and like background layout design. So I think I learned a lot of the fundamentals in the classes there, which I can later apply to a job. And yeah, they were like super friendly, and you get to learn a lot about composition and a little bit about painting, so you can kind of put that into your portfolio so that the job that you want to apply for can kind of see those skills. Yeah.
Thank you. Audrey, I'm going to leapfrog you, Chelsea. I'm going to just ask you the same question as well. What stood out to you about your experience at Seneca in terms of the most valuable things you drew from it now that you're in your career?
The most valuable thing I drew?
Yeah, the most valuable experiences. And
Okay. I would say it's the connection, because so I graduated in the pandemic, but I got 2 years in person with my classmates. And I think that was the most valuable thing, because once you do a class and the teacher tells you the assignment, sometimes they show you examples of what previous students have done, sometimes they don't. So what was nice is you could be at 24/7, 24 hours all in the studio 7 days a week. So you could go and stay up until midnight and draw there with your classmate. You could just exchange your sketches or what you drew for the assignment and be like, oh, I think this is what the teacher meant, so you should go and try to fix that. Or like, oh, maybe he meant that, or oh, your ideas are so cool, I wanna try that too. So I think it was like working, collaborating with my classmates, and later on as I started to work within the industry, it's keeping in touch with those people, because you have to be nice. Not you have to, but think about being nice to your classmates, because maybe one day that person's gonna be your boss, you know?
just as a side note, I used to sit next to Bobby Chiu in my first year of Sheridan, and yeah, that's very likely. Oh, do you guys know who Bobby Chiu is? Bobby Chiu started LightBox. He could be my boss, put it that way. Yeah, of course you can.
I wanted to add to that. One thing that really, when I started going to school actually in Seneca, and I was, I'm very active on social media, and I was like showing my friends and everything, they were really surprised to see like, oh, you get your own desk. Like, that's really cool. Well, and it sounds so minor, but let me explain. So when I was in first year, we were doing the tour, and you're separated in different classes. So I was in class A, and you have like a class. It's not really a classroom. It's like an area where you can do your work. It feels very much like a studio, right? You have a desk there, and like what Audrey said was like, you can stay there as long as you want. Like, some of us work better at night, right? And you're not really paying attention in the morning, so you do a lot of your work there, and it's nice because it's so collaborative. So you could be doing work, and like third years could be coming in, second years could be coming in, and I just remember my experience there. It felt like home, like that I was there all the time, and I loved it because, like if it like you're allowed to stay there, and I feel like not all. I don't think any of the colleges in Canada had that. Not even Sheridan. I might be mistaken, but it was in my time. It was open 24 hours, and that was really fun. We also did the 24-hour challenge, so that was great. And I saw a bunch, like your year, they were all running around, and they were like, "I have this idea. So it's really fun." Yeah, I just wanted to add that.
It's great. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Sorry. I think a part of that too that's amazing is because you have your own room and it really is like a studio atmosphere, you get to intermingle with every single year that's learning at the time. So if you're in a first year, you get to talk and intermingle with third years, and they help you with your assignments. They've done them before. You make like lifelong friends, not just from like the people that you're in your class with, because it's usually only a group of like 20 to 25 people, but the entire student body that's in animation at that time. And I think that's an amazing opportunity by having that like in-school facility that you can stay at for longer than just your classroom period, because you get this like wonderful insight and education from all of your peers and all of these people who've been there or who are worried about, like, oh, I have to do the box assignment. It's so many boxes. And you're like, don't worry, it's fine. We're going to make those boxes work for you. It's great.
I mean, that's the tagline for Seneca, I believe. We're going to make those boxes work for you. So, it's worth noting the facility at Seneca, so Seneca at York is our campus, is actually a completely self-contained animation-specific facility. So what everyone here is talking about is when you're going on campus, you're not moving between multiple classrooms all through the building. There is one dedicated space that is completely the animation world. And it is 24/7, although we encourage people to have work-life balance, but that's another conversation. Speaking of work, I'm just going to take a quick side note and then come back to you with some more questions. How many of you are familiar with the Canadian animation industry? Do you have any? You guys were really good at kind of. No. Is everyone curious about that? Because I imagine you want to get a job, right? So it's important to know because as someone who's been in the industry now for 20 years, and I work with I started TAFE, but I also work with something called Computer Animation Studios of Ontario, which represents a large majority of all the animation studios in Ontario. It's in the name, as well as visual effects. When we go outside of Canada, people don't realize how busy our industry is. So just to put it, and I don't have numbers specifically, but to put it in really clear terms, what you see here in Hollywood, which is a court in Los Angeles, is one of the biggest industries, of course, for entertainment globally. It's very safe to say that Toronto and Vancouver represent a massive component of the entertainment industry when it comes to animation, as well as actually film and television. We have a huge industry in Toronto. We have, I'm going to say, well over 40 major studios working either in visual effects and animation. And when I say major, these are studios with over 200 employees each. The visual effects studios working on all the major Marvel movies, everything that you're seeing, it's all coming to Toronto. More importantly, a lot of the animation work that you're seeing here, and I said this all weekend, when you're talking to the big studios, a lot of that work's coming up to Canada and being done for a variety of reasons. So when you hear outsourced work, it's actually, a lot of it's coming to Toronto and Vancouver, it's not going overseas. And that's because the quality of the work in animation in Canada is considered of a global standard, and a lot of business comes to us for that. So we have a very, very busy industry. You could come up and study in Canada, and then you could stay in Canada and find a career. In fact, in my last little note here, I'm going to ask you guys what it was like to get a career. We are currently going through what we would consider to be a talent drought, in that there's so much demand for work that there's not enough people to do the work. And this is really important because there's a lot of studios who are getting Netflix and Apple and all these other people going, yeah, let's do work. And they're like, okay, we got to find more people. So in terms of career opportunities in Ontario, and it's actually fairly Canada-wide, but Ontario and BC, British Columbia, which is our westernmost, probably more adjacent to you guys, province. Don't go there. They'll come to Ontario. We have seasons. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's very, very high demand. So you're always going to find good opportunities there. So I'm going to ask you guys, because one last piece here is the Seneca curriculum. Most curriculums should be this way, but Seneca very clearly, and Sean will talk about, focuses on career-ready skills. So what distinguishes somewhere like Seneca from other colleges is, while you will have an opportunity to work as a director or as a creative lead, as you'd want to, that's not the primary focus of your education. You're also learning career-ready skills that will help you into the workforce. So you're not going to walk out as a director and then have to go and figure out how to become someone who's a junior on a production pipeline. You're going to learn the pipeline, you're going to find your place, hopefully, and we're going to teach you the skills that help you fit into that as soon as possible from graduation, which is really important because as much as directors are wonderful, there's about 300 other people that have to do a film that also need to be trained and employed, and that's what the studios are looking for. So we have a very career-centric approach to how we teach. So I'm going to go to Jess, because you've been so patient. I just want to know, what was your experience like as you were graduating, looking for work in Ontario? And even since then, what's the job market like for you as a professional?
As a designer, I always had this idea that it would just be really hard to just find design jobs in, I guess, Canada too, because in my mind it's just like, oh, they're in like big companies like Disney and stuff like that. But as you said, everything gets outsourced to Canada, so it's a lot easier than I thought it would be. Currently, I'm at a studio right now for like kid shows and stuff like that, which are like attached to like big companies like PBS and like Disney and other things like that. But yeah, I got my first job through a friend who recommended me, who worked on the same production as me too, and she was like an animator, and I was in the same team as her, and if anything, like we got bounced around a lot at the same studio. And yeah, I think overall the industry is really close-knit like that, and yeah.
Great. Chelsea, I'll pop over to you, same question.
Yeah, so I actually got my first job at a school from one of the teachers at Seneca. I was in my third year and I was freaking out about my portfolio and how I was going to get hired. And I walked up to one of our layout teachers. I was like, if I do a layout portfolio, will you look at it? And he was like, actually, I'm looking for people on my team right now. Do you want a job? And I was like, hell yes. So
I just have to asterisk this. This is not every day.
yeah.
Not guaranteed.
So a little hint to be nice to your teachers and submit your homework on time because they will remember. But yeah, so actually similar to Jess, I really wanted to go into the design route, but as I'm sure a lot of you who may be interested in design as well may feel that it's a very difficult area to get into because so many amazing people do it and want to get into it, and there's so many skilled artists out there who are vying for the same position. So I felt a little bit discouraged initially. So when I started my career, I started as a 3D layout artist from my teacher who kindly offered me a job and some pity. And through there, actually at the same company, I worked in that position for about 3 years. I made my way up to a lead in layout and then was like, you know what? I do want to try design. And so I talked to the talent acquisition people at the studio I was working for at the time, which is a company called Guru Studio. If any of you have seen Paw Patrol
It may be a little too obscure for some people.
Yeah. Or True in the Rainbow Kingdom or a few other shows on Netflix, that's Guru. And they were like, you know what? Yeah, your work looks good. I think we can probably help you get into design. And so I worked as a designer there for a few more years. And then I started to move around to some other studios. And I'm actually a lead character designer now, overseeing my own team. So it's been an amazing experience. And I've had a lot of fun and a lot of opportunity. And honestly, I would say most of that is, as Jess said, due to like making great connections with both like your peers and your teachers and just keeping those relationships with you throughout the years. I know I've like helped hire a lot of people and a lot of people have like stuck their neck out for me and gotten me some chances that I'm so grateful for.
Thank you, Chelsea. It's important to note the animation industry in Toronto specifically, and we have Ottawa as well, which is another large city with an animation industry, are very, very keen to make sure we don't lose talent. So there's a really good kind of community and network around trying to keep people in. And I actually know a lot of talent recruiters who will share information with other studios saying, hey, these guys are about to come off project. Maybe if you're looking for more people, we can have them go over to you, or you might want to pick them up. So there's a really great culture in the Toronto and Ottawa animation scene. I'd say mostly across Ontario, of trying to keep our talent here, because once we have people, we don't want to lose them, and that's where the community becomes so important. Audrey, I'm going to ask you a question around looking back on now, you're 2 years into your career? 3, 4, 2, 1?
A year.
A year. Okay, I'm going to ask you the question that's more relevant to you then. A year in, how have your expectations changed about your opportunity and the kind of the nature of your career as you know it now versus before you went into college? So before you went to college, perhaps you had ideas of what it would be like to work in the industry. Now you're in the industry, gone through the education. What's changed? Has there anything shifted for you?
I would say I was pretty lucky ever since I started working. I had one of the sweetest supervisors you could ever had. He was really patient and helped me learn on my own on my own pace. So every time I had a question, I would just always ask. So I think I just got great supervisor, great teams, and I would say that what's different is maybe kind of a bit more stressful than I expected. I had kind of that Disney dream. You wake up in the morning, you eat breakfast, you go to work, everybody's nice, everybody's smiling, and you're working for your dream project. It's not always a dream project because obviously I'm not at Disney, but
You keep selling it hard, Audrey. You're selling it so hard right now. Just keep going.
but I think it's more like realizing that now it has become work. Instead of being a passion that you do on the side, it's now it's your work. From 9 to 5, you have to learn to. I'm still trying to learn how to have a work-life balance so I don't burn out again. But I think that's most about it.
Well, and it's a good insight. You know, a lot of people, if you're going into college and you have the idea of what it would be like to work in the animation industry, it's important to remember you're going to be going into a job as well. And so professional skills are often as important as or your hard skills. So learning how to be a great artist is great. But if you don't know how to understand the rest of the pieces that go into being a professional, it can be a bit jarring. And perhaps, Audrey, that's kind of what you're finding in your first year is, it is hard work, and sometimes the projects aren't working on high-profile Disney projects, but there's something there.
Yeah, it's mostly because I freelance while working full-time. I volunteer too. And the same time into classes. So don't do that, guys.
Yeah. So Audrey's advice is don't be an overachiever. Well, that's great, Audrey. I'm going to ask Bree the same question for you. You know, in terms of what you expected going in and what you're now finding in your career, is there anything that stands out? I mean, you just graduated 6 months ago.
Yes.
So first of all, you're at Yowza, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So what kind of stands out to you the most?
I mean, for me, it's actually the complete opposite of what Audrey said. I guess it's the first per person, but throughout my last year of school, so we worked on our thesis film, and creating a short film is a lot of work, especially for my team. We were the smallest team. There was only 6 of us. So that was a lot of work. Classes, there's a lot of homework. You're working on your portfolio. So in comparison to that, now working professionally, because I worked so hard in third year, I was actually so surprised to find that working in the industry is easier than being in school. Because when you're in school, you have all these classes that, you know, for me, I do background art, so you have animation, you have rigging, you have, you know, stuff like that. So just being able to focus on what I truly loved and enjoy is such a dream. For me, I can, you know, I wake up, I bring my son to school. He's in grade 3, so I bring him to school, and then I come back home. I work remote, so like I'm at home. I sign in on Slack. I say hi to my coworkers. If it's a Monday, like how's your weekend, stuff like that. And I'm given a few backgrounds to do for the week or for the next 2 weeks, and it's up to me to kind of manage my time. So what's really great about school was I kind of build that skill, like kind of managing my own time, writing stuff down, making sure everything is done on time. So if I ever finish a background early, you know, I get to finish work early. And it's nice because everybody in animation industry is very understanding and flexible. So I'm glad that I'm able to pick up my son after school. So I drop him off and then pick him up. I'm still able to have a really good work-life balance and pick up freelance jobs. So that's what I find really surprising, that, you know, once you get through school, which is very hard and stressful, it pays off because you do get those skills. Being able to write resumes and being able to talk to recruiters and your supervisor, you know, like writing emails, that's a skill. And we have a portfolio class in Seneca, which is awesome because it teaches you how to do all the skills on top of doing art, which is like stuff like that, the boring stuff. I enjoy it, but yeah, that's what really surprised me.
Great, thank you, Bree. I'm just looking at our time. We have a lot more, but we don't have a lot of time. And I do want to ask Sean to come up very quickly just to chat about what's changing. As he's coming up slowly, does anyone have questions? Because I want to cue them up. Okay, so we got 2, 3, 4. We're going to be, what may happen if I'm not sure because I've never been in this room before, we may get kicked out. If so, I'm going to also encourage you guys to swarm the panelists and Sean afterwards. So Sean, why don't you just give us a very quick understanding of how the animation program at Seneca is transforming, and why that should matter to anyone looking for options in education.
Hi, thanks. I'll just start off by saying thanks to our panelists. I'm a character animation teacher, and yet none of them wanted to go and actually animate, so I'm sure it's not me. So I'm going to do a really brief overview, but I want to also let you know that we do have a booth. I know I've seen a number of you, but we'll be there afterwards if you want to come and ask some more specific questions. Happy to talk about it. So the program has undergone some substantial changes, and by that I mean we replaced it 100% and just launched a brand new animation program this fall. That revamping came with an expansion of the program, and so for the first time in about 8 years, we're actually open to international students, which is fantastic. So that's part of our trip here, to get in front of all of you and say, you should think about Seneca College for animation. It's a great program. The thing that really sets our program apart, I think, from everyone else is the cross-disciplinary collaboration built into it. It's a big talk to go through what we're actually doing in the program, but the real soundbite is your capstone projects in this program, whether you're a 3D animation artist, a 2D animation artist, a game artist, or a visual development artist, you collaborate across our third year with the other students on your projects. It's the closest program that reflects industry trends that we've seen, and we're really excited about it. So if you go into 2D animation in your capstone year, maybe you're working on a film and you're working with 3D students who are building assets for your 2D film. Maybe you're doing 2D effects on a 3D project. Maybe the gaming students are helping real-time environments for a 2D film that has 3D environments in it. Visual development might be supporting the concept work for film work. So it's a big collaborative capstone project year that reflects what's been going on in industry for a while. Everyone here knows now, right, that game engines are like used for The Mandalorian. Who would have thought that a game engine, right, like Unreal 5 would be used for visual effects? It's crazy. This is one of the big changes that we've been seeing coming for a long time. Mark can attest to that. We've been talking about real-time graphics work in animation, in film. And this program is a reflection of that industry. So you're going to get a really great education at Seneca. You're going to be super prepared to get out there and find your job in the studios.
Great. Thanks, Sean. She also mentioned, and I feel like we've kind of buried the lead here, and Mark's going to be like, if I had notes for you after that session. And Mark Jones is our chair who introduced us at the beginning and is a wonderful gentleman. Seneca actually has quite a lot of awards under our belt as well. We run a summer institute program, which is often an industry-combined opportunity, optional for students to apply for, where it will be industry-led. We'll have directors, we'll have producers come in and actually run a project that students get to participate in as a pseudo-production. You will actually get a stipend in those cases as well. It's not just free labor. Some of those projects have won Cristal, was it the Annecy? And then I can't remember the other one. It was I think it was a Man Academy or something, Academy Award. So you may, I don't know, you guys look it up, it's on Google. I'm sure it's on Google somewhere. So, and those are actually student-led projects, and if you come down to our booth, you'll see some of those on display as well. So it gives you a good idea of the caliber we're doing here is not, it's not lightweight. This is industry-leading stuff, and our partnerships are actually one of the innovation I'd say differentiations, big fancy words of saying what makes Seneca interesting is also our partnerships with industry and the work that you can sometimes get your hands on as well. Let's ask a couple really quick questions. We're getting the 5 minutes. Oh no, he's just holding up his headphones. Okay, we'll start with the team in beautiful teal. Oh, you guys are not together? Oh my God, you're wearing the same color. That's okay. I'm going to start with the gentleman in the hat, and we'll go to the gentleman next to him, and then we're going to move around, and it's going to get confusing. First question.
I'd like to thank the panelists for sharing their stories. Thank you so much for that. Two-part question. So the first part is, reflecting on where you're at today, is there anything that you would have done differently starting your career at Seneca that you wish you hadn't, that you wish you would have done? Second question is, narrowing down your focus, what would you say is the most important soft skill and the most important hard skill that you apply today in your work?
They're great questions. I feel like you read my question. That's how good they are. Who wants to take that? Anyone? It's a bit of a lob ball. Everyone's jumping at it. Let's start with the first one. I think it was, looking back, what would you have changed going in? Chelsea.
Okay, so one thing I started when I graduated, but wish I had done a lot earlier, was actually take advantage of social media. So there's a few ways that I would have loved to have done this. I think I could have done a lot more research to independently educate myself while I was also getting my education at Seneca. I think that's something we encourage a lot now, but I was a little less mature and a little more naive at that time, so I didn't take that opportunity when I had it. However, I've made up for it since. And I think social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok now, anything you want to do, using that is not necessary, of course. Not everybody wants to be a part of social media, and that's totally your prerogative. But I actually use it as a method to keep myself accountable. I made a pledge to myself that I would try to post an image once a week on Instagram, and that meant that I'd have to have an image that I actually wanted people to see, which means it had to be good enough for me to want people's eyes on it. So that meant I was drawing almost daily, and I improved significantly just by having that pledge. So that's something I really wish I was actually doing actively during Seneca instead of after I graduated, because I feel like if I had the drive and idea to independently learn as I was going through school, and also that drive to work on my own little tiny drawings and posting those online, I think by the end of my time there, it actually probably would have helped me be a little bit better prepared for maybe jumping into design as a career right away instead of going into a different stream first. And also, I think it's just a great way to be visible to the job industry, right? Everybody finds people on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and stuff, and I feel like I could have gotten my name out there and networked with studios a lot earlier if I had known to do that earlier on.
We have a second question. We only have 3 minutes, so I'm going to ask for a quick answer to what is, and you know what? Let's just make this what is the hard skill and the soft skill you find the most valuable in your career that you learned while in college, or even that you've learned on your own? Bree, do you have a soft skill or a hard skill? You said emails. You already answered
Emails. Yes. There you go. Writing emails.
that. No.
Oh, I think just having being able to communicate with other artists and trying to connect with other people is very important.
Audrey? I'm skipping a Chelsea because you got a great answer already.
Maybe try on your last year at Seneca not to get A's in every classes, but actually focus on where you want to work.
Getting a real picture here of Audrey right now. And then Jess. Try not to get A's on everything. Give yourself something else to strive for. Jess, what would you say?
I would say being transparent with yourself instead of just forcing yourself, being oh, I have to go at this for 5 hours right now because I can't get it. It's okay to take a break or admit I can't do this now, but I can do it later.
Yeah.
And that's not procrastination at all. And even in the pipeline too, at work too, I just have to admit myself instead of being oh, I'm gonna hold off and not tell anyone that I'm struggling with this. It's just better to admit that you need help with this, and it'll just get through faster.
Realistic expectations are actually a really important skill for everything. Next question.
Yeah, hi. I have a question for Bree specifically. So you said that you are working as a background artist professionally, and you're also So I was wondering how you went about managing your time and managing your energy specifically while you work on the day-to-day basis. Do you have any like advice on how not to die halfway through? You know?
I believe it's just about efficiency. There's like a long way and like a short way, and you kind of just learn that a lot in school. Photoshop is what I use personally when we do our backgrounds, and just knowing how to do certain things faster and more efficiently. Yes, I do have a lot of work, and I do a lot of outside things, but yeah, school really teaches you to manage your time. Again, third year, there's 9 classes, so it was a lot. I learned a lot of my skills in school, just being able to get my work done as fast, because when you're in third year, the deadlines are there. It's kind of like you have an assignment every week. So once you build that like muscle to kind of like get it done, just get it done. It's better than what's that saying? It's better done like late, or well, it's better late. Yeah,
Better late than-
just you gotta submit it, and once that's there, you're good to go. And by that, you're like, wow, work is done. It's 5 o'clock. Clock out now.
Thanks, Bree. In the production side, we call it good enough, move on.
Yes, there you go.
We're going to have to wrap up, unfortunately. I saw there was a few more questions, so my apologies. It's always hard to fit it all in. So first of all, thank you all for coming. This is a really amazing amount of people showing up, so hopefully useful to you. And thanks to our panelists for taking the time out of their schedule here to come and talk with you all. Again, if you see them, chat with them. They've been very generous. I'm sure they'll continue to be generous with you. If you are interested more in Seneca, I encourage you to come to the booth, talk with Mark, talk with Sean. Our good friend Tim is also down there, very knowledgeable. We got lots we can tell you. And you can always go online, senecacollege.ca, which you can also find at the booth, where you can find out how you apply and any other kind of details along the lines, including how cost efficient it is to move to Canada and study there. Think of all the money you're going to save and all the jobs you're going to get. So I'm just pitching it hard at this stage. The last thing we're going to do very quickly, because we are raffling off a Wacom tablet, and so some people... What's that? It was at the, well, I guess we can, at the booth. Yeah, or online. I guess we really liked it. No! It's almost like we're teasing you guys now with your good questions. It's like, well, you don't get it. But yeah, I'd still encourage you to sign up for whatever we're doing so you can get the information. And maybe we'll put another Wacom tablet in the mix someday in the future. Asterisk, maybe not. So I'm going to ask, maybe you guys want to just, Sean, let's make it easy so it's not 5 people scrambling into the bucket. Mark, someone just take this bucket and draw a name. And if you're not, I'm not sure if anyone, okay, well, it's just.
Sean St. John.
Sean St. John. Or is it St. John Sean? No, it's Sean. This is awkward. Well, congratulations, Sean, you won it. This is great. Okay, we'll contact Sean. Thank you guys very much again. I hope you enjoy the rest of your expo, and good luck in your journeys wherever you're going.